Evening all, welcome to Fitting Dust. Today we're going to take a look at the Forge gun. There's something I particularly like about the Forge gun, and let's maybe just discuss it very quickly. Warning, I am about to do some lore as well, okay? So please excuse me if you look away in disgust because I'm about to get a bit role-play-y. No, don't worry, I'm not going to. But you know what I mean? I want to talk about the lore of this gun as well as maybe it's fitting. The Forge gun is basically a very heavy weapon railgun. So basically it's a Caldari design, and Caldari, if you know anything about EVE, are very much into railgun, you know, very high damage, long range kind of, well, I guess railgun. So it's a good weapon. I think in terms of the actual mechanics of this gun, you have obviously your standard prototype and advanced, and then an officer, and I think it's probably just worth maybe quickly mentioning the obvious differences between them before the match starts. Effectively, your basic militia Forge gun, they all do relatively the same damage, just on a sliding scale. So no matter what you run, even the militia Forge gun will kill any infantry dead in one shot. But they all have splash damage, and that obviously ramps up as you go. And some of the guns have the ability to hold its shot, so you can actually charge it up and then hold it. Okay, some don't. So things like the prototype, the Ishikone Assault Forge gun, unfortunately doesn't have that, whereas the DAU, which is the Officer Forge gun, does. So, you know, just have an appreciation of that. Sometimes it's a benefit to be able to hold your shot. Again, insert witty metaphor here, but you know, being able to hold your shot, you know, to basically just hold it is quite important, because you always need to fire at the right time. Okay, no more puns. Basically, that's a good thing. I think some of the things like the DAU, you know, effectively it's a very good Forge gun, but it has the ability to hold its fire. So the Officer one is obviously infinitely superior. However, the Ishikone one is quite expensive, so that's worth bearing in mind. And in general, as you can see, they have a phenomenal kick to them. So let's talk about maybe how you use them. Basically, the Forge gun is, let's be clear, it's a free fit to begin with. So you can actually run a militia heavy suit, which is obviously no skill needed, and a militia Forge gun, again, no skill needed. And you have the ability then to basically field an anti-vehicle suit, effectively. And if you fit pretty cheap AV grenades on it, or if you have just the basic grenades, then that's a pretty potent punching you know, thing. So basically, I would say that's a good thing to go with. I've actually skilled up quite high in Forge gun, only because I think they're kind of my cup of tea. I like the fact that you can basically treat this almost as an anti-material rifle. Playing a bit of DayZ at the moment, and the things like the AS50 or the M107 sniper rifles, they're 50 caliber sniper rifles, where basically they are just anti-everything rifles. You hit a car with it, you'll take the engine block out the side of the vehicle. And I quite like that. I think actually that's a good way to think of the Forge gun as well, because effectively it is that kind of you know, fire and pretty much if you get a shot on target there, whatever you hit is in big trouble. I think in terms of tanks can withstand these Forge gun rounds. They have, I mean, obviously around 3 to 5 to 9k armor, depending on your flavor of tank. But I still say, you know, if the best tanker in the world comes across a Forge gun, who's a good Forge gunner and knows what they're doing, but also has the drop on them, I would probably go with the Forge gunner most times. A few really hardcore tankers can survive. It all depends entirely on how the escape route is planned. But I would say the Forge gun is shaping up to be a very good weapon. Now, in Uprising 1.2, so the one that's just come, you now have basically a few changes to Forge gun, and as you can see, this is Uprising 1.2 showing here, and the projectile, you see, it absolutely leaves a massive you know, kind of trail, if that's the right word. I mean, look at that blue. I think that's fantastic, and I like the fact that you now can see the round traveling in the air, because again, there is a fear factor with these guns. When you start to see, you know, a squad, and this is actually a Forge gun squad, you know, basically running ambush, just like mullering people as they come around the corner. And you can see, you know, 46 clones versus, what, 9? We lost 4 clones entirely. You know, this is going our way. Not just because of the Forge guns, but they do help. That ability just to wipe out anything that's in your way is very good. Probably would say that there's so few detractors to Forge gun. You do, oh, that's probably number one, as you just saw there. This guy walked in front of me and the round almost killed me, and that's probably the biggest one to bear in mind. There's a few other issues. I think just generally they have a bit of a, you know, what's the word? negative perception with a lot of players. When you see a forged gun, people will generally rush you, and you're in trouble. So a good sidearm like the Flalock or the SMG is probably a really good idea. I think in terms of the lore, let's talk about maybe the role of this gun. I mean, effectively, oh, look at that. Effectively, this is there as the Caldari's heavy weapon. Now, in theory, I'm told, and I read, that there's going to be a heavy weapon per race. So, in theory, you should be getting some form of mega artillery projectile cannon. So basically think of Serious Sam. If you've ever played Serious Sam, you know the cannon, basically at the end of it, that'll be the Mimitar. I think it'll probably be some form of, I don't know, crazy projectile plasma weapon that just fires a blast of energy for the Mar, because again, that's kind of lasery. Maybe a massive scrambler rifle round, or even better, imagine a laser cannon that just literally sprays death in front of the people. I think that would be really quite nice, because you could imagine that strafing ground and stuff. That would be pretty awesome. And I can only imagine that the Galante are going to have something like a mega shotgun heavy blaster. So again, this could be something that just sprays a wall of shotgun rounds, literally, almost like a 90-degree spread in front of them. So again, watch this space. I think in terms of the lore, there's going to be some exciting additional heavy weapons coming our way. But again, the forged guns here, I would highly recommend it as a fantastic cheap fit that, again, you could put a few skill points into, and or even if you just run the militia fit, you're still getting a pretty good gun. It's one of the rare guns where the militia is probably not too bad compared to the prototype. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll do some more of these weapon spotlights in the coming future. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.